Chambering is very much jazz because you're always waiting for that pattern of that ding, and it's an art.
It's improvisation. It is a way of life.
Right?
It is a state of mind. It is a philosophy. What isn't chambering?
That is the question. The only true answer is volatile.
True. Chaos.
I think we might have scared off those who aren't part of the true core and are on board with the vision. I guess you can retain some memories of this experience. And if you can't, well, you should probably watch the first video for context. Otherwise, gate theory could literally turn your brain into a tesseract, which isn't as fun as it sounds. But before we get to that theory, we've got to talk about context, timing, value, and packaging. Because the better we understand gate theory, the more chance we have of accelerating the time frame in which Rumble becomes mainstream. Now, we have half of the requirements to pull this off. Like I said in the last video, I needed at least 50 people. Now we have over 70. And I'm so incredibly grateful for you being here. The chat has blown up and forced me to accelerate the timeline of even communicating the plan with you. And that's a good sign for our greater goal. And if you're just a lurker, well, you can still join too. The password to the portal, which is in the dojo, is in the previous video. But that's only half of the equation. The other part is still just a hypothetical at the moment. And let me paint a picture of what that is. Imagine someone creates a work of art about Rumble. It's so engaging, so compelling that it's an 11 out of 10. As a fifth dimensional being, that's actually a pretty low score, but in base reality, that's a miracle. And if anyone consumes it, even if they just have an ounce of possibility of playing Rumble, they have to. And those who don't still love it so much that they share it on to find more potential Rumbles. This is a hypothetical, of course. I'm not really sure what Shoeless thinks of his next film. Hyping something up that much is always unhelpful. So let's just say he's happy with it. And whether or not it's an 11 out of 10 will be up to you to decide. But for this plan to work, we have to make that plan around an 11 out of 10. Because
When it works, it's good. Just high risk, high reward.
That is your playstyle in a nutshell.
now gate theory is a form of what can be a greater evil, which is marketing. Pep just said it what it is.
So we're the marketing team, XD?
Yes, kind of. But marketing, if it's for a good thing, is a neutral entity and can be used for good. Because at the end of the day, marketing is just storytelling. If people don't know about Rumble, how are they going to play it?
Okay, so we all agree we share the video everywhere, right?
Yeah.
Just word of mouth the crap out of it.
Well, okay, just hold on 1 second. I'm not saying that.
Although, if you're sharing it on somewhere like Reddit, you can't make it seem like advertising, because then the click rate will be way lower.
Honestly, sending the links to a bunch of irrelevant places might hurt the video, because they'll immediately click off if they're not interested.
Yes, Lunar and Pep. That's what I'm trying to say. Now, we're all excited, but we have to understand context, timing, value, and packaging are everything. And only once we get that can we get the correct story for each person to come into Rumble. Spamming the video might as well be the same as going, "Bro, watch the video, trust me, it's so good, trust me, watch it, you need to watch it." You're just screaming into the void, which is what I'm doing, and why I kind of need your help.
Fair enough. Suppose this is more about getting people to come over, rather than convincing them to stay for dinner.
Wow, control or central? That's a good analogy.
Interaction over contact. We want people not just to see Rumble, but to watch Rumble.
Now that's pure marketing poetry, I think. We're shouted messages all day, every day, and naturally we've got a pretty good filter so we don't go crazy. Only the best stories break through. So understanding marketing on the mass scale as a core is going to help our cause. But it'll also help you personally, even if you aren't for this cause. So I hope it's a blessing to you. Before we talk about gate theory, we need to talk about a more traditional marketing funnel. It's 4 levels. It's wide at the top, small at the bottom. It goes from awareness. You cast the net wide, you want to get your name out there. You're not even focused on the hard sell. Buy Rumble, buy Rumble, buy Rumble. You just want to make people aware of your thing. So with Rumble, it's Pep's viral shorts, content creator videos, by anyone of any size. Now, the devs probably did a lot of awareness marketing with trailers, and I actually don't know what they did, but they haven't updated the trailer on the Steam page for 3 years. That's why marketing is a bit of an evil. You sort of have to do it, and that's annoying because it takes away from time of actually doing the artistry you want to do. So right now the devs are just focusing on the art side, and haven't actually marketed the game at all. So by us doing this, we're helping them market the game so they can focus more on just making it great. But from being aware, you want to bring people down into being engaged, for people to start following the journey. They don't have to buy it just yet. It's not a race. I mean, it took Orphan Obliterator asking hundreds of days of daily questions before he finally bought a headset to buy the game. That's how powerful of a story Rumble was to him. So he was engaged for a long time. He was hooked into the community. That might be being part of the Discord, reading the chat, just watching videos. And then finally, they are converted into buying the game. That's conversion, and marketers at every stage of the funnel are trying to optimize it, trying to make less people fall off. They're not trying to go from awareness to the hard sell. They want to take them slowly through that customer journey, because the width is to do with how many people they are. So to finally push people across the conversion line, they could be engaged enough, or you run a sale. You have a big event or something that makes people want to finally cross that line. And then after that point, you have retention. How do you keep your customer happy, but also how do you make them advocate for you so they begin spreading the word for more awareness? The devs, honestly, gotta make a better tutorial. This was my plan to help Rumble with my first video by making the hit combos so people could learn the game faster and more easily and hopefully bounce off the game less. I also wanted to add some external motivation by having the skill tree for people to follow so they knew what to aim for, because not everyone's intrinsically motivated to discover for the sake of discovery themselves. And by doing that, I wasn't trying to build myself up. I was trying to create value for other people. Of course, it did end up backfiring, and that's why we're here now, but it was necessary for the greater goal. Each step of the funnel, like I briefly mentioned, has different strategies, and it's a slow progression to have a good customer journey. That's what this is, just a customer journey. It's good for you to be aware of, by the way. Lots of people try to trick you into their funnel, like get-rich-quick schemes, or like this one crazy drop shipping method. I'll educate you with a free webinar based on the story that they use this one technique to make all their money. But in reality, they're making money off selling you this idea, because if it was already so successful, why would they waste their time educating others? The money is made in selling the vision. Now, there are many ways in which Rumble could become mainstream, but timing is everything. We've seen a few people jump the gun on the plan out of excitement, and there's been some ideas that are outside of the scope of what we want to focus our efforts on.
I think it's important, and I'm part of the problem, that someone is streaming Rumble at all times.
This is actually a problem, but it's one that if we solved right now, wouldn't help us that much. This kind of activity, unfortunately, doesn't build awareness, because very few people randomly stumble across a Twitch stream of someone they don't know playing a game they've never seen. It only serves those who are already engaged, which is a small number. Just have a scroll through the least viewed shoe least videos, and that tells you about how big the hardcore audience is. And these videos are kind of just for the Rumble community. They don't do much to build awareness. Even the videos that popped off and got a lot of views have terrible watch time, because it's not that engaging unless you're a true Rumble fan trying to learn. And that's not even what they aim for. It's the shorts and the highly edited engaging stuff that brings in new people, because it teaches them how to enjoy Rumble. If you're just here for the novelty factor because you've never seen it before, that runs out in about 4 minutes, then you'll click off and watch something else. The other tactic that comes up every few months is trying to get in contact with a big streamer or content creator. Unfortunately, over almost 3 years with the game, I've seen this tactic fail 5 or 6 times.
Messages go to big YouTubers trying to get them to make Rumble content, Benny.
Huh?
Remember you said you were going to message people about trying to make
Oh
Rumble
yeah,
content?
that went really
No, that's no fun.
And another example of a streamer actually playing.
Check this out. Sassavant. Over 500,000 followers.
Damn! Someone make this guy a rumbling machine.
Please tell me he enjoyed the game.
Oh, I'm sure they did, lol. Wouldn't be a notable stream otherwise.
Maybe he'll get into Rumble. Probably won't, though.
Bruh, I just checked the VOD and I don't think they passed the tutorial.
Another one bites the dust, lol. I was glad I caught Habby's stream to get him through it. But I can't do that for everyone.
I learned on that stream that it wasn't the game's fault. I was just truly that bad.
Rotation is very important.
Palm inwards, not palm down.
Yeah, so Magic literally had to pay a streamer to do the TTS or whatever so he could learn how to play. But what if we just ask Habby again? Maybe this time. Oh, and due to time frame constraints and me wanting to put effort into actually finishing the film, or I should say shoeless finishing the film, I'm just his 5D version. Sometimes I tap into him as like my 3D shadow. I will now be performing the voiceovers by just reading them.
We all know the GOAT. Getting him to endorse the film game could create massive interest, especially because of his large audience. He would likely be willing to help and collaborate. In the Discord, he has a suggestions channel. I made a post to revisit Rumble. You should revisit Rumble VR. It's changed a lot since the last time you played, and it's currently your 3rd best video. But I don't know if the post alone will help. If we can get more people to tell him reactions to this suggestion are not biased at all. I don't know any of those guys and girls and others. Okay, I rewatched your video. Oh boy, it didn't age well. The game involves so much. Damn, we got smited in the hubby server. Bro, come on, guys. Yeah, the post got deleted.
You know, valiant effort by the crew, but the timing was just a bit wrong. And the packaging, and the context, and the value.
Bobo, I'd advised against using something like didn't age well. Kinda makes it sound like the video is bad and you didn't like it. Better to give it a positive swing. For example, that we'd love to see his reaction on all that's new. People don't like being commanded to do something. It's his own choice. Saying he should is a bit demanding. Fair enough.
It's completely true what Mimu said. All we want to do is create value. We want to lift everybody up, and we want to help be a part of everyone's story. We're not trying to poach people from other communities. We're not trying to use them for their clout. We want to provide value. So let's never be negative or compare things or use negativity to try and push forward our agenda. You catch more flies with honey than vinegar. So we'll still... You know what? There is one single exception. Oh, we're not going to talk about that one. Because you got to think about it from Habby's perspective. His product is making videos weekly, and novelty is a factor in selling his videos. So new games help that goal. Rumble is insanely hard. In a week, you can't really make good content. Outside of maybe the launch week when it was so novel you could. Right now, outside of the community's perspective, Rumble looks dead. It's beyond its launch hype, it doesn't have viewership, it doesn't have a reason for people to make content around it just because we love it. Creators aren't in the business of saving poor communities, so no one is coming to save us. Creators follow the market. If Rumble had great interest in viewership, then that's when that could happen as a plan. How do I know that? Because it already happened. After the Flick video, LS Toast, one of the biggest Beat Saber players, shared my video and talked about getting into Rumble. Because you can see Beat Saber has been carrying VR for so long, the viewership is slowly dwindling because it's lost its novelty. So if I was in his shoes, I'd be looking for the next big thing that could retain an audience. I also got a message from a Ghost of Tabor VR creator who was a bit smaller, but he asked me to train them. Now I said no, because honestly that's a boring video. I'm sure he's a lovely guy, but the hype after that video died back down before those creators followed through with their motivation to learn. We even had a guy once trying to jump on the hype who wanted to make a clips channel about Rumble. This was right after my emergent gameplay video blew up. He'd barely even played. I think he made content around a mobile version of COD, and his viewership was dying, so he was looking for a quick hack and a successful community to make videos off of. Or in other words, kind of just take advantage of a community to farm clips and then pay some editor to put them together to try and make a quick buck. You know what? I'm being negative now. I'm sure he's a great guy, and that's just an entrepreneurial move. But you can understand at the time someone who wasn't really truly wanting to dive into the community to try and use the community for their own games. I don't know. Some people would see that as a win-win, but I just think we have creators in our own community that we can lift up to be successful. That's what I want to see more of. And if we strategize around an 11 out of 10, our best shot to bring people from Rumble aware to Rumble engaged, then we create more opportunities for more creators to do their thing in the space. And we can only do that once Rumble becomes mainstream. Now, the only time that it did work was when another creator fell in love with the story of Rumble. And his name is Windet. And he actually took the time to get friggin' good at the game and give it respect and engage in the community. And now he's like a friend and a staple of the community. But he's a very special case who takes his time on videos and does what he wants. That's a special context. A context that most other creators don't have. Most other creators have got to keep that weekly schedule. That's how the creator economy works. Anyway, I don't want to get sidetracked. So videos came out, a bit of hype again around Rumble, but it died back down. Because timing is everything, packaging is everything, context is everything, and value is everything. Just because we find things interesting doesn't mean other people do. You may as well be screaming into the void. We have to package the story in a way that's valuable to someone else at the right time. What if there was an 11 out of 10 video that blew up and proved Rumble was something special, beyond the novelty of its release, and that it had staying power, and that it's something interesting to watch? Now, all of a sudden, those pleas to a bigger creator to play the game are an interesting story, an interesting package. We're not begging them for help, we're giving them an opportunity. That's the packaging. Just another word for a small story, to pitch something. Now that's actually the 7th gate of 7. I mean, there's an 8th, but it's impossible to get through. Well, impossible. So we've got to wait till we action that plan, because I need to explain gate theory and we need to go through the other gates first. Especially regarding maybe Habby, whose video maybe makes a few appearances in my own. Maybe that will just make his own community shout him out once the video has, you know, a lot of views and it's like, oh cool Habby, you got shouted out. Maybe then and only then, he in his own mind will consider if he wanted to do something. But we have a lot of gates to get through before we get to that point. The main goal though, our goal together, is to create the biggest awareness and value of Rumble as possible. And right now, that could be, with this hypothetical film, going as far and wide as it can. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. We face an uphill battle. We don't have that novelty factor anymore. Rumble is a niche of a niche that most people can't even play due to it needing a PC, a VR headset, and technical knowledge of how to link the two. We have a minuscule player base, we have a tiny amount of active Rumble watchers. I haven't posted on my channel in a year, so everyone's forgotten. And I'm a relative nobody in YouTube terms anyway, let's get real. I got lucky twice. So comparisons to other content creators and what they've done, because they have existing fan bases and built-in audiences, aren't going to be strategies that work for us. That's survivor bias. I appreciate that, you know, no idea's a bad idea. People have put up spiffing Brit like break the algorithm hacks. Those don't actually work. If they did, everyone would do them. Our best bet is to actually provide value and not do unethical hacks. Comparisons to traditional media also aren't going to work in this internet age. We don't have the legacy expectation of those marketing systems of creating trailers and hype. If I spent a lot of time to make a good trailer, I guarantee you no one outside of our community would watch it. And those are the people who are just going to watch the film anyway. And I haven't got the audience or the track record for anyone to be interested that I'm putting something out ahead of time. All that pre-release stuff, it's not really going to help. The film has to be good, has to be an 11 out of 10, has to come out, and that's when the gate theory plan starts. So I'm saying all the negatives, let me get the final one out of the way. There has never been a game as small as Rumble that's been able to recapture or even surpass its peak attention that I've found. And I do my research for these kinds of things. But it's in our weakness that we find our strength. Because if we do this right, I have hope because of our underdog story. Limitation breeds creativity, and Rumblers have a lot of that. We've already seen it in the chat. If we can get this focused into a good plan, I think we can get there. But ideas are like new destinations. Without a roadmap to get there, they are useless. We need concrete details to develop this action plan. Gonna get onto gate theory, but it comes down to this. If we advertise the film, we advertise Rumble, and we build out the greatest awareness it can have. However, for a film's marketing like this, we can't use a marketing funnel. It's part of the funnel, but it needs something else. We have to use gate theory. So spin that funnel upside down. This is not a pyramid scheme, because you go from like the top down. I guess that is still a pyramid scheme. Turn it 90 degrees, and then lay it flat, and then pull it up in the 3rd dimension, because this is gate theory. But I'm also just going to draw it in 2D because it'll be easier for your 3-dimensional brains. Gate theory is all about playing the algorithm game of YouTube by finding the most likely high engagement watchers first and strategically targeting less likely viewers after. The algorithm is a blunt instrument, but if we give it the right data, we can help it on its way. Before the first gate is you, the most hardcore of the hardcore Rumble enjoyers who want to see the game succeed. You being here validates the first step of this plan, which has already begun. So thank you. Now, the more people that understand and action this plan from the beginning, the easier of a time we will have. because beyond us is a series of bigger and bigger gates, 7 of them. Behind each gate is a different audience or community. The further along they get, the more these communities are removed from Rumble, and the more energy it will take to break through to them. However, if we can break through to them, there will be more and more potential allies on the other side, because each gate has more and more people behind it. So each gate will require its own timing and strategies as we target them in sequential order. And yes, this theory may or may not have been directly inspired by brain-rotten mobile games. These are the gates. That's us, the core. Next, previous Rumble fans, followed by our personal connections we can leverage. Related to that, but a bit beyond, is related communities we might have access to that cross over in their Venn diagram of interests. Then we have small content creators, and the first 3 are within reach. The ones beyond that have a barrier of social proof we need to pass. That's a certain amount of views we need to get to prove that the video is worth watching and engaging with. So we might have some luck with small content creators or creating content ourselves, like memes and secondary content. Then we get the wide umbrella communities. This could be gaming in general, VR in general. They're not as specific as a niche and we can't target them as easily, so it's tricky. But if we have enough allies from the previous gates, then we might be able to crack it. But then it gets harder with long shot communities who may not be related at all and there's no good angle to communicate with them. But naturally, they might just be discussing it anyway by that point if we have enough success. Now the 7th, that's really hard. That's the Hail Mary to the big dogs. That's when we go to bigger streamers or content creators. We need a lot of power to break through that door. And those are the 7 gates. We're only going to focus on the first 3. Okay, well there is an 8th gate, but it's impossible to get through. It's only been done once, so we're not going to touch that. Now, the first 3 gates are actually open to us. We're going to put strategies within each gate. Now, us as the core have a few things we can do pre-launch and at the exact launch. I'll do my best for everyone in the core and maybe part of the first gate will know that the film is coming. I will announce the date and time exactly when the video will launch, so we can all watch it at the same time and give it that algorithmic springboard boost. A few hours before, I'll set up a premiere on Shu Lesser. That video is almost just like the 10-minute pre-show to say thanks to some people and maybe communicate a bit of gate theory and how people outside of you guys watching right now could help us too. As we've been chatting about, watch parties can backfire in terms of taking away valuable watch time that people could give the video, and there's just difficulty in syncing up and all that blah blah blah. So instead we'll have an after party 30 minutes after the film finishes, and that'll be the point where if we're feeling it's an 11 out of 10, we can hopefully gather more troops to our cause in the core. Come back to the watch parties idea with the rewatch party idea, but let's keep going at this first day's step. Mimu did a great post on how you can maximize your impact on the algorithm. And the algorithm is very dumb. All it sees is if people click on the video and if they stick around to watch it all. It will profile whoever watches it and try to cast that recommendation to similar people who might also like it. But people are complex and have many interests. Already we're seeing how diverse the reason is for people coming into Rumble, whether it be fitness goals, the community, the discovery aspect, the high skill ceiling, the martial arts. We're also seeing crossover communities that like similar things like Among Us players, Gorilla Tag players, Ultra Kill, Celeste, Rainworld. Calamart said it best.
For some obscure reason, Rumble attracts a lot of people who don't play VR at all. We can't exactly guess what the common denominator between us all is, but YouTube's algorithm can, and we should totally help it with that.
So that's the core that will give good data to the algorithm that will feed the video through to gate 1. But we're not gambling. We also want to continue on with active strategies to target the previous Rumble fans in gate 1. It could be active players, casual players. Maybe they just watched the Flick video and a few others. They already know Rumble. They just need to fall in love with it again. And we need to make sure the algorithm doesn't fail in presenting it to them. It's also a very small gate, but it's valuable. So ideas like having devs making posts on Steam. What can we do, I wonder? Where is a space where all those previous fans are gathered that we can communicate with them and they won't miss out on the notification? Well, it just happens to be my previous videos. If we en masse go back to those videos and find the people that really love the Flick video or whatever else, you can reply to them in a genuine and authentic way so it's not spam, telling them, hey, if you like this, here's the new video because XYZ. Bring your own flavor to it because that's valuable. Even though that's a slow and small in scope strategy, it's worth it to find those early, almost definite viewers. The second and third gate we've already touched on, and the lines between them start to blur because it's your personal network and also related communities. Because some of us will have connections into those related communities. Let's start with gate 2, which everyone has, and that's people that you actually have a personal connection with. Friends, family, schools, other servers, other communities you might be respected in. People you already have a connection with and might trust your recommendation. Now this is where we're starting to expand the scope. Acorn, Queen of Chaos, had a good list. She's going to post it to friends groups, gamer servers, the Netrunner Discord, and if you have a place to share where you're already connected with, when it comes time to posting, people with a genuine connection to that space will be best to post because they understand it, they know the culture, and they know how to create value, but you also have to package it in the right way. Again, that goes back to what we're interested in isn't that interesting. But if we can be interested in what other people are interested in and tailor the pitch to that, then we're providing them value. We're not putting the burden on them of asking them to give our interest a chance.
Sounds like we need to manipulate the way our audience sees the video again. Feels like there's a lot of that.
A, we're definitely not trying to manipulate people. If they feel like they're forced to watch the video, then that wouldn't work in the long run. B, what is persuasion if not a form of manipulation?
Okay, so we gotta do them a service by relating the video to their community in a helpful way, not force them to do something for us.
Anonymous Mima the Gamer is very good at recapping stuff in such a helpful way for putting in this video, so thank you. We're all learning together. Kurama had a great example of this where he eased into Rumble by going from talking about sports and how he played a game that gave him cramps, that it was actually pretty tiring and intense. And that was enough to get his friend to watch it, and then his friend said the alley-oop was a banger, so that's pretty sweet. He's probably not willing to buy a headset, but it definitely got him interested. That's cool, because we don't have to convert people straight away. In the okay, looks like he's changed his mind. The story is ongoing. Dang, I wonder what rating the Flick video would have had out of 10. And I'm going to put a challenge out on that second day to play the film in public spaces on public screens and take a photo of it, because I just think that'd be really funny. But let's discuss examples that go into the third category of related communities who might find something in Rumble interesting. Like Sav said, but I'll just read it because I'm out of editing time and voice credits. Brainstorming ideas to spin a headline for each niche would be very productive. We have a section on the forum just to research Reddit communities and think of how we can do packaging. Here's an example. I loved Oxidy's post about how Rumble helps their personal self-improvement. Now on a general VR server, that could be an awesome post, packaged as what experiences in VR have helped you improve socially. And then they outline their experience and say, watch the video, it gives you a taste of the community. But it's a valuable post on that Reddit because you don't need to watch the video to enjoy that post. And that post would engage other people because it's a genuine good question. Man, this really must be the fourth channel if I don't have time to do all the voices. Anyway, like Sav said, again, you gotta frame it as a discussion.
And asking for other videos is genius because it causes people to open up and share things they're passionate about, which boosts the engagement on the post, bringing more eyes in as a whole.
And the Anonymous Mima Gamer, again, recapping in such a helpful way that I couldn't have said better than myself. So we need to market the video as being important and interesting to the group in question without forcing or really even asking them to watch it, but just by showing how good it is and showing how it's relevant. Now you're getting the idea, because if we go back to Oxidy's example about self-improvement, imagine him doing that in a different context than just a general VR server. And he did it in the Gorilla Tag subreddit. Then it might look like you're trying to poach people and you're trying to put down the G-Tag community for being kind of toxic. Which, I mean, that's probably all I hear from G-Tag players, but I'm sure there's nuggets of gold in there too. There's a way to package the recommendation in a way that provides value to different communities and doesn't poach them. Which one of these is the trust me bro spam and which is valuable? Gorilla Tag is dead. Watch this film and play Rumble. Or, wow, it's crazy how this game developed. Gorilla Tag really needs to make a similar documentary to show off the development of the game. Who could do that and what stories would we tell? The second one is actually sparking a valuable conversation and might lead to a cool video. And our Rumble video just became a part of their story to help a different game. And that's fine. I trust the people who want to rumble will rumble. A rising tide lifts all boats and we don't need to be threatened by other communities. For the next gate, Gate 3 and Reddit posts, this is going to be key. Right now, we have a forum for subreddit spins. We don't want to be posting yet. We want to be researching what different groups of people might find Rumble interesting, for what reason, and how could we package a valuable conversation for them that includes a reference to the Rumble video. But let's take it back a step to talk about your personal network. Have you ever recommended a show you love to someone and they're just like, yeah, I'll check it out, and they don't, but then someone else comes along and recommends it, and then they watch it and they're like, hey, that was actually pretty good. And you're like, why didn't you watch it when I told you? I don't think that's because that second person deserves more credit. I think that was just a numbers game, and they needed that second connection point to be pushed over the line to take the risk to invest their time into something. You can see that in the fact that my video might have pushed someone over the edge after they watched Habby's video. Or there's cases the other way around. Or it might have been Windette's video. It's only through that sort of mass exposure that eventually they're pushed from aware to engaged to converted to be a player. But yes, in advertising, it's almost never single ad runs. You're always bombarded with the same ad again and again to try and wear you down. This is why NordVPN does so many creators saying the same script all the time. It's like, we've heard it, we've skipped it. They're trying to break you down until you finally buy it. Now I've just run out of so much time, which is why the text looks terrible on screen. But the fourth door is locked off. That's why timing is everything. We need more than just good packaging. We need social proof or cultural capital. Social proof is a psychological and social phenomenon wherein people copy the actions of others in choosing how to behave in it. You know what? I'm just going to sum it up as like, if you saw a video pop up on your feed from a nobody you didn't know, are you going to watch one that has 10 views? Or are you going to watch one that has a couple of 100,000? And then on top of that, if it's 2.5 hours long, you probably need even more social proof or touch points to be willing to invest your time in it. Timing is everything. And people want to follow what's already popular, like my example with other streamers and content creators. And this is why we will target harder and harder gates as time goes on. After launch, for 7 days, each day we will target the next gate. And hopefully, by the time we get to the harder ones, enough people and views have come in that the film has enough trust that it's worth taking the risk on. I gotta go, but for now, we can continue to do market research for communities that might like us, brainstorm different creative ideas, or reinforce the core by trying to bring in people you know will be interested in the cause of accelerating the timeline in which Rumble becomes mainstream. Anyway, thank you so much for being here, especially since this was a lot of yap. I kind of half expected to scream into the void, and yeah, this will be super embarrassing if it doesn't work. So the fact that you're here means a lot to me, and I really appreciate it. So thank you, and I'll see you later.